Every winter, millions of Canadians head to the Caribbean in search of sunshine, pristine beaches and crystal-clear waters. This year, however, tourists may have noticed that something not so pleasant awaits them on the beach: stinky, brown sargassum. In last decade, foul-smelling seaweed has become more common on beaches around the Caribbean and southern Atlantic Ocean. To understand it, you must first understand sargassum. What is sargassum? Sargassum is a type of brown seaweed found in the Atlantic Ocean. It consists of leafy parts and oxygen-filled, round berry-like parts that help it float on the surface. It has no roots or seeds. Unlike some other types of seaweed, it lives its entire life in small pieces on the ocean surface. Sargassum is usually found in an area called Sargasso Sea, where it tends to wander in an eddy called a whirlpool over a 5 million square kilometer belt stretching from Chesapeake Bay mid-Atlantic to Caribbean. Au hiver, sargassum can clump together, forming shakes or patches. It has a seasonal cycle that begins spring, peaks in the summer, and finally ends fall. Sargassum is a leafy brown alga that lives and breeds on the surface of the Atlantic Ocean. Sometimes large collections can hit the beaches, which can be frustrating for beachgoers. But they are vital to some marine life, providing food and breeding ground for animals like fish, sea turtles and more. Sargassum formed these enormous floating masses in the open sea, which are actually wonderful, because absorb carbon, they absorb nutrients, live a lot of life, and a lot of animals depend on them, he said. Brigitte Van Tussenbroek is a scientist at the Institute of Marine Sciences and Limnology at the National Autonomous University of Mexico. The American eel, even the northern European eel, for example, could not exist without the Sargasso Sea. So this is a wonderful system. While most sargassums generally stay in this vortex, they can travel along some kind of conveyor belt in the Atlantic and Caribbean. Scientists have seen a noticeable increase in sargassum hitting Caribbean beaches since 2011. Then it went back to the Sargasso Sea. Since 2010 to 11, some sargassum has suddenly started accumulating in a new region in the tropical Atlantic just north of the equator. Parc Roberto Varla walks piled sargassum algae on the seashore Cuba's Guanacabib Peninsula, June 27, 2022. Scientists aren't sure. A number of factors may play a role, including climate change and human activity, Van Tussenbroek said. Many nutrients come from Sahara Desert dust blowing across Atlantic Ocean, said Chuanmin Hu, a professor at the University of South Florida who studies these flowers with sargassum monitoring system. But there are ocean elevations where water from depths of the ocean is brought to surface, along with more nutrients that further support this bloom, he said. And scientists believe that with a changing climate, there may be further rise in the ocean. Also, nutrients flow into Atlantic from the Congo River in Africa and Amazon River in South America. Now the question is, which one is dominant? According to SAWS, January is the second month in a row that sargassum has doubled, the last time being in 2018. Although it fell in February, it is believed to continue to grow and make its way along the coasts of Caribbean countries. Last year saw the most sargassum ever recorded. Au hiver, this year has been impressive so far, Hu said, adding that in December SAWS predicted that 2023 could be another record year, but there is no guarantee of that. All we can say is that this is going to be another big year. How much is there? Hu said there were more than 8 million metric tons of sargassum in the Atlantic Ocean in January. In February, that fell to between 6 and 7 million metric tons. But Hu said there could be even more in March. They're currently dispersed here and there with a low density. Even inside the belt, the density is less than 0.1%, Hu said. But if one can put all of the sargassum in one place, what is the size of it? I think it's about 3,000 square kilometers and there are no gaps. Aerial view of sargassum algae in Cancun, 13 August 2015. What are some effects of large flowers? These large flowers, which scientists have seen thriving since 2011, are problematic. First, hotels and towns must absorb the cost of eliminating these masses in order to maintain a lucrative tourism industry. Then there are the concerns about ecosystems. Workers clear sargassum algae on the beach of Punta Piedra in Tulum, in the Mexican state of Quintana Roo, on August 11, 2018. Sargassum abundance can threaten suffocating coral reefs as well as sensitive shoreline ecosystems, reducing their cover and roughness, making them more susceptible to waves and less protected from hurricanes. It can also prevent baby sea turtles from reaching the ocean. The good news is that there may be some uses for sargassum masses, including using them as biofuels and even building materials. Should I be worried? If you're heading to the beach and encounter these masses, it's nothing to worry about right away, but as they dissipate, the smell can be bothersome. And it can ruin any offshore snorkeling or swimming you might want to enjoy. If you take too much, décomposé, it can be harmful, but most of the time it's not poisonous, Hu said. Also, most of the time, even if they pile up on the beaches, locals usually remove them. So if you have travel plans, come to Florida. Come to the Caribbean. You wouldn't worry about anything. WATCH Kelp and climate change.